Ella Josephine Baker was born on December 13, 1903, in Norfolk, Virginia, and raised in Littleton, North Carolina. From an early age, she was shaped by the stories of her grandmother, a formerly enslaved woman who had been whipped for refusing to marry a man chosen by her enslaver. These stories of resistance and dignity in the face of oppression planted the seeds of Ella's lifelong commitment to justice. As a student at Shaw University, she challenged school policies and graduated as class valedictorian in 1927. Her early activism was rooted in a belief that ordinary people, not charismatic elites, held the power to transform society. In the winter of 1957, Ella Baker traveled to Atlanta not to be seen, but to build. She joined a gathering of ministers and organizers hoping to harness the momentum of the Montgomery bus boycott. What emerged was the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC, a coalition of black church leaders committed to nonviolent resistance and racial justice. They envisioned themselves as the political arm of the black church. But Ella Baker saw something deeper, the people themselves. She became the SCLC's first staff member, hired as associate director. She organized the 1957 Prayer Pilgrimage for Freedom, helped launch the 1958 Crusade for Citizenship, and worked across Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi to register black voters. She trained local leaders, built grassroots centers, and pushed the Civil Rights Act of 1957 as a shield for the disenfranchised. But inside the SCLC, she found herself isolated politically, emotionally, and physically. She criticized the organization's sluggishness and Martin Luther King Jr.'s distance from the people. King was a better orator than Democratic crusader, she would later say. Then came 1960. Black college students across the South were staging sit-ins, refusing to move from lunch counters and public spaces. Baker saw in them a new kind of leadership, unpolished, unrecognized, and full of fire. She persuaded the SCLC to host a youth conference at her alma mater, Shaw University. There, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, was born. Baker urged the students to resist the pull of charismatic leadership. Be wary of leader-centered orientation. Julian Bond called her speech an eye-opener. She didn't say, "Don't let Martin Luther King tell you what to do," but everyone in the room felt it. SNCC became the most radical force in the Deep South. It welcomed women more than most civil rights groups, though sexism still lingered. Baker left the SCLC and became SNCC's elder, its godmother. She helped shape its structure, pushing for two wings, one for direct action, the other for voter registration. She helped coordinate the Freedom Rides of 1961 and expanded SNCC's reach to black sharecroppers and tenant farmers. She insisted that strong people don't need strong leaders, and that the most oppressed must decide their own path to liberation. She mentored a generation: Julian Bond, Diane Nash, Stokely Carmichael, Bob Moses, Bernice Johnson Reagan. Her vision of participatory democracy spread beyond SNCC into the anti-war movement, the women's movement, and the radical politics of the 1960s and 72nds. In 1964, Baker helped organize the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, challenging the all-white delegation at the Democratic National Convention. Though the MFDP wasn't seated, they forced the party to change its rules, opening the door for black and female delegates across the country. As SNCC moved toward black power, Baker stepped back, not out of disagreement, but due to declining health. She welcomed the shift. Black power, she believed, was a necessary break from the stale language of mainstream civil rights. She even accepted the turn toward armed self-defense. "I could never turn the other cheek," she once said. She didn't carry a gun, but she had no problem with target practice. Ella Baker never sought the spotlight. She built movements, not monuments. She taught us that the work is in the people, not above them. And she left us with a challenge that still echoes today. Give light, she said, and people will find the way.